if a man is 5 feet 2 inches, 5'3.5" like me, short, dumpy, or short endomorph like me, or ideally a short, powerful mesomorph. But if he's a short little ectomorph with no size behind him, with no impressiveness to look at him, he's in quite a world of hurt. Now, you take a woman, if she's 5'2", there's a lot of rabbits you can pull out of that hat. You can wear high heels, makeup, hairstyling, all kinds of things to deflect. And it's not such an odious, hellacious stigma as it is for the short, small man. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks for us, except for me. You've got to get into the shape of your life and then some. There's no way out of it. It's either do that or die for the short, small man, and particularly the short ecto who looks frail, weak, pukey, and puny. He looks like he can't handle himself. Everybody can put that little man in pillory and mock and make fun of him. Throw rocks at him from a distance. Now it takes a man who's been through that process. It takes a man who's walked that walk and stared that reality down through many years, and who has, in fact, walked on the street of broken dreams in Manhattan, New York. I'm that man. You need good advice, good counsel as how to train properly. You get great results. And mostly forge in a hot crucible. Courage, power, physical power, brute power, pushing, pulling, grabbing power, moving power, punching power, grabbing power, as I said before. Then you need good assertiveness skills and the ability and the will to apply them. They're no good if they're just abstract and academic. They're no good if you just sit around and bullshit about them. It's a performance definition. You've got to actually do it. In real time and real place, under real stresses and strains in the arena. With no excuses, no compromises to that reality. How are you going to advocate? How are you going to be your own advocate? If you have no appearance, if you have no personality, if you have no credibility, and predicated on all of that, of course, you have no courage. You're inferior. Proven by all the feedback you're getting from your environment, your social arena. You're inferior. And all that inferiority feedback that you're getting from your environment becomes force of habit. It becomes inculcated, ingrained, such that you know no other way of existing. You exist in a projective, emotional, accommodating compliance. That means you walk on eggshells. That means you're trying to be so agreeable that you don't want to be exposed, insulted, humiliated. You don't exist, my friend. You've stopped existing. You might as well lay down and get in your coffin and end it right now. That's what we're talking about here. This is not a game. This is hard fact. It's as objective as hell. There's no room for any subjectivity here. It's either do it or die. Courage has to be won. You have to fight your way up to what Cus D'Amato asserted. Why shouldn't you have that? Well, you have to be ready for that. You have to be ready to fight your way into that, into the truth of that statement. And it's a physical thing. It's a social thing. It's a wholly objective thing. Nothing to do with subjectivity. You get your judgment quickly. When you go out into the arena and you're in tremendous shape, if you're in lousy shape, of course you can't do it. And you, with the attitude, why shouldn't I have this? Example, your TDH, tall, dark, and handsome. He's getting the best physically appealing women. 80-20 Parati curve. That means 20% is getting 80% of the action. There's nothing unfair about this. There's no entitlement here. There's no savior that can level the playing field. It's a horrendous reality. You can't come up against your TDH with nothing. It's all a matter of sucking the attention in the room, sucking out the attention in the room onto yourself. It's a matter of controlled psychopathic behavior. And the charm and the appeal, the magnetism and dynamism that injects into a player, social player. These are all games in the sociology of the absurd. You have to learn how to be a good player. But you need raw, primordial equipment to participate and to be effective in however way you can be effective. There's no guarantee for any outcome. There's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. There's no true or false. There's no in or out. And there's no judge who stands above the situation and the behavior in the arena on the confrontation and encounter. That's where all the action takes place. That's where all the judgment is made. That's where you either win or lose. Judgment's final. Winner take all. No consolations. It's cold and it's as objective as that. There's no way to get around that. That I can see anyway. You always have to do the step back and look at the big picture while you're paying attention to the details. You got to be aware of what's going on around you at all times. You gotta look far down the road that turns. You gotta be serious, but yet not take yourself seriously. That's an art. You gotta set the problem up accurately, with no dodges, with no justifications or alibis or what do you call that, plausible denials to save your skin, to hide out. Sometime you got to reach the point where there's no place to hide. You got to be blooded and tough. You can't be embarrassable. You can't be sensitive. And you have to train hard for that. No shortcut to that. And I believe you have to make everything a teaching experience. Question everything. Question yourself. Get into that dialogue with yourself. The idea is to become more and more self-sufficient and self-responsible. Don't need the other social actor for anything. You have to have leverage on yourself and leverage on your social adversary. It's all a competition. It's all a naked, raw competition. It's all brutally objective. The only subjectivity, as I see it, is if it's a medical problem. If you don't have a medical problem, any pain, any limitations of that sort, medical, physical, or psychological disabilities, mental, psychiatric disabilities, you're in good shape. Now getting back to our short, small subject. You've got to take that small, short man when he's young and put him in what I call existential boot camp, where he's under, if you can afford to do it, of course, where he's under complete programming, where he's disciplined and matured and trained and advised and trained hard to get into the toughest, hardest, strongest, most powerful physical condition he possibly can, get that mental attitude to go along with it. Get that foundation. We're talking all about building that foundation, laying that hard steel foundation, that implacable foundation. That foundation that can stand up to the storm. When I see that short man, 5'3", 5'2", give me something to work with, man. When you come to me, give me something to work with. You don't come to me with nothing. Puny, weak, miserable body like that and expect a miracle. Think on that. Grab the bull by the horns and hold those horns. But that takes strength, it takes power, it takes coordination, it takes balance. Not so simple. See, everybody likes to simplify the process. Everybody likes to give advice by admonition. So they can beat their chest and say, hey, I'm the expert. I know what to do. Sure you do. You can do it. But can your subject, in our case, this discourse, the short, small man with no appearance and no personality, can he do it? You dumb bastard. Giving him that ego advice. All you're doing is stroking your own feathers, you dumb bastard. You gotta know your subject matter. And all this requires being very serious. But yet, not taking yourself or the situation seriously. That's a step back. I call it the Marco step back. And I call the other method the Brian comeback method. I just named them arbitrarily. The Brian comeback method is you're going to keep a diary of every time that you a short, small man like me. I'm 5'3", I got a big face. Dumpy, short. Repulsive to look at. I'm telling it like it is. I don't flinch, I don't blink. I'm looking straight at you and telling it like it is. Not like I see it, but like it is, objectively, completely objective. In a world of total objectivity. A short, small, hideous man like me knows the truth of that. We walk through the wars. We're the reality of that. So this is the fact talking. Not the big talker. The positive thinker. The showman. Jumping up and down. Bouncing up and down on the stage like an Inca god up on that stage. Sticking the chest out. And charging a fortune to see the performance. No. It gets down to brute reality. And when you got that short, small man like Elliot Rodger, you have to hit him with the facts over. No matter how he cries and throws a tantrum, you're going to hit him with the facts again and again. Break it down to his reality. Again and again, more facts. More objective facts. You have to come into this man's environment and literally become him. You're fighting here for the empathy that means something. Not the accommodating, compliant empathy that I spoke about at the beginning of this talk. That's just fear. That's just wanting to survive. That's just treading water. Because you're small, you're inferior, you have no power. You're a patsy, you're a victim. And I'm not talking about that empathy. I'm talking about objective, brute empathy. That can create the other side and yet get the objective distance from that creation and comment on that. Keep the tension on. Keep the tension on by asking probative questions to keep the inquiry going. And it always has to be placed in terms that are testable, verifiable, arguable. Nobody knows the truth with a capital T. We all have points of view on a truth with a small t. We have perspectives. We see it from angles. And what we say, our input, I call it our 2 cents worth. Just an opinion. That's all it is. Take what you want, throw out the rest.